Okay, we want to speak a little bit about SEO. We have like half an hour to do it. My name is Gilad Sasson. I'm from a company called Nekuda. We do online marketing. My handle goes with Alcoholic, my Twitter handle, and also in many forums. Would you like to introduce yourself, David?
Sure. My name's David Wiseman, originally from Sydney, Australia. I'm now living in Israel. Been here 15 years, worked for a number of different agencies, Matan Media, Kahina, Key Scouts, and now at 5 Blocks, focusing on digital branding and online reputation management. And in my spare time, I've been writing pieces at LinkedIn for the last sort of year and a half. Some of them been getting over 10,000 likes, a lot of engagement there, so feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. And also as a huge sports lover, I've created a Facebook page, Follow Team Israel, devoted to sharing the stories of Israeli sport. So if anyone who likes Israel and sport, feel free to follow us there as well. Thank you.
Hi, David. Hi, my name is Nati Elimelech. I'm the CEO of SEO Israel. I've been doing SEO ever since I can remember surfing. I'm a big tech SEO guy. I'm a big analytics guy. I think the two go hand in hand. And that's basically it.
My name is Morty Oberstein. I'm the CMO of Rank Ranger. I am not a technical SEO guy. I am a search philosopher. I like analyzing trends, algorithm updates, content patterns, and all sort of the holistic things that go into SEO. I'm also the host of the InSearch SEO podcast, which comes out every Tuesday. I've already mentioned that, but you should check that out.
Okay, so we'll have an open debate about things that happened in the last year or the last years in the search industry. And the first topic we'd like to access is the Google zero results or Google no-click. If you have any questions or samples that would like us to discuss, you're more than welcome to raise your hand, and I'll ignore you. Let's start, David.
So it's a very interesting question. Thanks for that. I mean, when we're speaking about SEO, search engine optimization, you know, I would actually contend that in 2019, you know, we shouldn't even be talking about that. We should rather be specifically focusing on Google optimization, and a minimal amount of time is now being spent on Bing and Yahoo, and everything is sort of talking about Google and, you know, how things are on Google, and less time is spent regarding Bing and Yahoo. I mean, a little bit of time, yes, but it's less and less all the time. And what we're seeing now is that when we used to sort of speak about Google and working with them, in a way the organic results are now competing against them. And Google through Click Zero, is there anyone here who doesn't know what that is? Okay. Well, the expert, you want to answer?
Click Zero is the situation where you do a search in Google and you get the resolution, the answer inside the search engine page itself, so you don't have to click to any site to get the results.
Right, and it turns out that there's data that came out from Jumpshot or Rand Fishkin that about over 50% of all searches don't result in a click. So meaning over 50% of the time, someone's searching for something, they don't click on a result, they use the answers or the content Google's providing, or that you're actually providing in a lot of cases, and they don't need to go to your website, which is obviously a problem.
I also believe that there was a similar statistic that 7% of all clicks are to a Alphabet-related property. Alphabet, for those people who don't know, is the parent company of Google. And what we're seeing now is that you trying to get onto page one with your organic results is you're finding it very difficult to get it above the fold, if to be on the pages at all. And we're also seeing the increased presence of featured snippets, which has become a far bigger element in 2019. You guys want to elaborate on the snippets?
Before elaborating on snippets, I do want to talk about zero-click results. A bit of misconception here. A lot of people are complaining, a lot of SEOs are complaining that Google is stealing your traffic. There are a couple of things you need to be aware of. First of all, usually the traffic that you don't get clicks for anymore is usually not converting traffic or high-quality traffic. If you search for when is Black Friday, right now, well, a couple of years ago, you would have gone onto a site. You can read when Black Friday is. Maybe you've clicked on an ad or seen a deal. But usually for service providers, for SaaS companies, for e-commerce websites, that's not the best quality traffic that they used to get. So I don't think it's a big loss. But people do need to understand that there's a huge leakage of information from websites onto Google, onto the search results page. Just like the example I gave, or when is Black Friday, or how deep is some sort of ocean, or anything that's really a WH question, when, where, who, why. All of these things are now answerable because Google is making a transition from a search engine into an answer engine and even a discovery engine. So I think it's a natural process. It's good user experience. We need to get with the times. And my advice to people is, first of all, you don't necessarily have to chase the featured snippets. Because if you give too much information to Google and the information is displayed in full on the search results, why would anyone click that result? Why would anyone get to your website? And my second advice is to actually realize that it's a branding opportunity. Branding is important. People can get, see your brand. At a certain point in their user journey, they will maybe become a customer, but we can't really control it. So go with the flow. Try to brand whatever you can. Don't give too much information to Google. Try to limit it. So you don't give away the cow for free. You just want to give the milk. And that's basically it.
Wow. So we can talk about this for hours. There's a lot of ways or aspects of it you can talk about. I think the whole idea of schema markup ties into this and why Google's focusing again on markup. All goes into Google not being an answer discovery engine, in my opinion. You're going to maybe not like this, but I think it's an authority engine. Google wants to come off as an authority. So being an answer engine or giving you answers makes Google into an authority. I actually wrote a whole blog post about this. It's coming out. You should check it out.
I'm not going to read it.
Thank you so much. You always read my content, so we all know that. Anyway, to jump on the feature snippet really quickly, and then I want to talk about what I think you should do about the zero-click searches. Feature snippet, I did a study a couple of months ago. Featured snippets on paragraph. Let me go back. Who does not know what a featured snippet is? There's no shame. Okay. If you type in a query like, how to change your car's oil, Google will give you a box at the top of the results page and has a snippet of content that tells you, 1, open up your hood, 2, pour the oil in, whatever. I have no idea to change oil. So it gives you an answer. There is a URL in the box. So a lot of times people will click to see more. For example, I was just speaking at a conference to documentation creators. And their content is great for a feature snippet because you want to see the whole full list of directions, so you're going to click on the URL. But what I found was that paragraph feature snippets are getting shorter, which means that Google's getting more precise, more accurate, giving you a much more targeted answer, which means less need for a click. And the list feature snippets, where you have step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, those are getting longer, which means that there's more content, all the steps are in them, you don't need to click. So there's a certain fallacy in the SEO industry. Feature snippets are wonderful. Zero-click search is a zero-click search, not a zero-click, but click on a feature snippet. It's 0. I think we all understand 0 is not 1. There's no click. So even on our feature snippet, there's no click. But from a content perspective, I think we're totally missing the boat. And it speaks to what Nati was saying. I don't know if you remember Napster. Right, when Napster came out, there's no need to buy an album. You just download the song, and iTunes took this and monetized it. So artists, Rolling Stone came out with an article saying that artists don't make money from the same amount of money as they used to from albums. They make it in touring, meaning musical content has changed. And if you think back to content, let's say from 100 years ago, content's probably the most volatile thing on the planet. It's constantly morphing, constantly evolving. Whereas 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, the idea of being able to find anything anywhere was a novelty. That's no longer a novelty, that's the norm. The novelty now is the access to the information. How easy is it to get? And Google's well aware of this, and they're making it super easy to get. So if you type in, like, I'm a big football fan, so I want to see the scores for the Steelers game, I just type in score, Steelers, and it's right there for me. I don't need to go to ESPN. Where I think people are missing the boat is that Google's not trying to harm you here. It's just a natural evolution of content. And the SERP, the results page, is not built for deep, engaging content. It's built for snippets. What you should forget about is, if you're a weather site, forget about offering the temperature in cities across the world. Google will do that. You should focus on writing weather trends over the last 10 years in Miami, weather predictions in Indiana, something that Google can't do, which is deeper content, non-snippet content, because just like the age of making music and selling albums is over, writing top-level content is over. You just have to move on.
So it's also interesting from a historical perspective for those who are sort of Googleologists will remember that there was a time when you Googled looking for a who or a how or a why question, you would get a result from answers.com, and sort of a lot of those the answers were provided by them, and then there was a big Google update that sort of removed them from the equation, and now Google's finally gotten into the act of providing the answers themselves. But I have a question for you guys. I mean, it seems that zero-click is naturally for those searching on their mobile that don't want to start clicking everywhere else. I mean, do you agree with that, that it's sort of aimed more at the mobile user?
No. I think it's more likely to be a mobile search, because today most searches origin in mobile. But for searches like what is the height of Brad Pitt, or how many calories do you have on an apple, I don't think it's relevant only for mobile. I believe that Google are trying to get more of our time. They envy Facebook, they envy Instagram. They know that all of us come to Google only when we want something, when we need something, and they want more. So I think that they're trying to support voice search and other aids and digital aids. They're trying to steal more of our time. We are clients. They want to make more money. And so this is what really directs them, regardless of mobile or not mobile. And getting used, making the users understand and believe that they can get the answer directly from Google, from our perspective, is something that we should worry about, because lots of our clients, lots of our business is from traffic that is getting from Google. And in the last year or so, year and a half, all of us see that less of this traffic is coming.
I would say I partially agree with the assumption that it's mainly for mobile. I think mobile has been a major catalyst in this process, because mobile has taught us to expect instant answers. We have very short attention spans right now, I can see by the audience. And basically we got used to getting whatever we want here and now. I think that translates to desktop search results as well, but it's all about, shallow level information. If you want something that's readily available, it's going to be on the search results page. It's going to be some sort of a snippet or a feature. What do you think about it, Morty?
I think it has nothing to do with mobile or desktop. I mean, first off, mobile, I think you might get more clicks for certain queries, like commerce queries. I personally won't buy on mobile because I want to see the full page. I'm uncomfortable. I think this very much, Google is very smart. Okay, and it knows one thing, that the foundation of people coming back to Google is what? Not user experience, which is a major part of it, but trust. I trust Google. Why don't we go to Bing? Because Bing sucks, right? We're not going to get the right results. We don't trust them to provide us with the right results. Google understands this and is saying that by giving you the answer, one, we become a provider. You become very dependent on Google. And two, they come up, being a provider, like your parents, let's say, also means that you're an authority. Okay, if you're an authority, I trust you. I'm going to keep coming back to you. Which is why Google releases things like FAQ schema markup, where you can have question and answers within an organic result. Because it makes Google, and you're feeding it, look authoritative. You can find tons of information right on Google, deep, accurate, prolific, all sorts of information. Google's now a content authority, an answer authority, which means that you are going to come back to them and you're not going to go to Bing. Why would you go to Bing? Why would you go to Yahoo? Google's an authority. They answer my questions. So it has nothing to do with mobile or desktop. It has to do with the psychology of the user.
Excellent. Do you have any questions about? No? Yeah.
With the natural health stuff, so a lot of it might be a great place to advertise because Google's having a hard time with the organic results there, right? It's having a hard time finding sites that it can trust, and because of the way a lot of the sites like Dr. Mercola, he lost almost all of his rankings. You can actually find a piece online where he writes about Google did this to me on purpose. Google's not. There are a lot of things I don't like about Google, and there's a lot of conspiracy theories that I do ascribe to. That Google looks at bounce rate. Google says they don't. I'm convinced that they do. Okay, that's a conspiracy theory. That's fine. The idea that Google's going out there and limiting niches and certain types of sites because it has a certain political or philosophical agenda seems a little bit difficult to me. I think in that case you have a lot of sites doing a lot of poor SEO, really, really bad content writing, and what I've seen is that those natural health sites don't stack up well to these super authorities in the industry. Like your Mayo clinics, your Cleveland clinics, your WebMDs, and Google's saying, we don't know how to trust these sites, so we're not going to rank them well for these queries. So it could be a great place to advertise because you don't have as much organic competition. Yeah, I can't answer, obviously, because I have to analyze your particular situation. Guys?
I would say in some ways it's a catch-22 because also Google seems to favor the sites that are getting the traffic and the hits and the smaller bounce rate, but if you're not getting the traffic, how are you going to appear to get the traffic? So there's that classic battle that you really have to, in some ways get the site up there that Google's then going to start to trust it and look at you as an authority and as an expert. And that's one of the things they've come out with the EAT guidelines where they're basically saying that, especially in the health and lifestyle industry, that if you're an expert and authority and with the trust, they're going to favor those sites. But with Google, it's very difficult to sort of separate correlation from causation with so many sort of moving parts and things in the air, that to really nail down and isolate that one thing was the cause of this other thing happening, it's very difficult to sort of get that sort of clarity.
Are you familiar with YMYL? YMYL. Your money, your life. Basically, Google is saying something like that. If it's information that's about to affect your decision-making regarding financial needs, health-wise, or anything that could impact your life or life-changing decisions, we're going to crack down on it. We want information sources that we can trust, that we can, evaluate factually. And I think that specific niche of natural health isn't something that Google can, just say there's a major website that I can trust, because it is, like it or not, full of inaccuracies, a lot of theories, but not a lot of facts to back it up. So I think for those sites, I'm not saying it's a lost cause, but they need to mimic what major health sites are doing, back it up by facts. Let me know that the person writing the content, it's someone I could trust. Let Google know that you're not a shyster, basically. And I would say that advertising could work, but Google is also cracking down on policies regarding campaigns in those niches. For example, third-party services like restoring hard drives or WhatsApp messages, they're disallowing campaigns that touch on these points. So even paid campaigns aren't a sure thing in that area. They could just, disappear any day.
And there is somewhat of a side door. What we were speaking before about the snippets. One of the snippets that Google is promoting is the video snippet. YouTube videos. So if you have a YouTube video optimized for the search, you have content, you have fans, you have engagement, there's a possibility that if there is a video carousel appearing for that query, that you can get in the carousel and you can sort of build up a following that way. Also, sometimes there's a Twitter box. If you have come at it from a 360-degree angle, not just the website, but the social media, the video, and it's holistic, then that's a good way to sort of attack it and not just be one-dimensional with the website.
If you had good organic results and you lost them, I would say I would support paid campaigns, and I would understand the economics that in many fields, including the pharma ones, it's true. Everything that they said, it's true. You have to create better content, you have to create value. But eventually, if you are ready to pay a lot for leads and a lot for clicks, Google understands it, and you will make money for them too. Regardless of any do no evil or separation of systems between the organic or paid, they will prefer the less commercial results. And in many fields and many things that related to medicine, to pharma, there are a lot of non-commercial results. So if we understand this, we should combine our strategy with organic, but also paid actions.
And if I could just add there, one of the most frustrating things when it comes to the organic results is that people look at their competitors, look at the backlink profile, see what their competitors are doing, and when it's like, well, my competitor looks a bit spammy, is employing spammy tactics or things that I wouldn't necessarily subscribe to, and I find it difficult to sort of rationale why they're ranked ahead of me. That could be hard. But if you can look at your competitors and they're doing sort of good content, good SEO, you can pick up some tips from them and try and sort of emulate them in some ways to improve the performance.
Well, great. I think we'll go to the next topic. Okay. We'd like to speak about core algorithm updates. Any of you had a really great change in the last few months, 4 months, 8 months ago? Anything like that with the organic results? David, would you like to share? Any core updates?
Well, honestly, I mean, most of my work in recent time has been on branded search, which is a completely different ball game to the non-branded. And what we've seen in branded search is that, first and foremost, that the part that the snippets have been playing and sort of how instrumental role they've taken in sort of controlling the sort of majority of the real estate of the page. But having said that, something like the knowledge panel is becoming a bigger deal, and it's something that if it's relevant to you, as well as Google My Business, there's a whole section of the page one that you can sort of optimize and sort of take advantage of that page one real estate that's there.
I think you're the real guy to talk about core algorithms updates. But I would say that, first of all, we are noticing that there are a lot more updates than usual. Basically, it happens every week or a couple of weeks now. And they seem to be less impactful. So they're more, you're I guess not going to see sudden huge spikes in traffic for better or worse, but I also think that no one needs to actually chase core algorithm updates because those tweaks Google is doing, basically it's Google saying we can serve you better results and this is us trying. If you correlate your work with some update that you've heard about, the following week everything you've done could have been rolled back and you didn't really do anything that led to an improvement. So you need to stick to a strategy, create really good content, create the authority behind it, and stop chasing core algorithm updates. We're no longer in the era of penguin or panda updates. There's no one thing you could do. There's no one thing you should stop doing. You just need an overall good SEO strategy and stick with it.
I don't know where to start with the core algorithm updates. Well, first off, let's differentiate between the core updates and a regular unconfirmed update. So back in August 2018, Google started to do something weird, and it started to actually confirm, hey, we actually ran an update, which is for Google bizarre. Actually, in fact, at this point, because of some idiots in the SEO industry, Google actually names them. Says it's called the September 2019 core update, because people were naming them all sorts of inaccurate things. And Google will pre-announce it, saying, Monday, there's going to be an algorithm update. The core updates are a change, I describe as to the foundation of the algorithm itself. The entire algorithm is as if it's recalibrating. Versus Google's making a small tweak to one aspect of its algorithm. Okay, that doesn't mean, by the way, that for any given niche, any given site, or for all sites altogether, that a core update is more impactful than an unconfirmed update. I've seen many unconfirmed updates. I think it was the March 2019 core update was not very impactful, and there was a July 2019 unconfirmed update that killed rankings. Okay, so you should not ignore the unconfirmed updates for the confirmed updates. I have a whole article about this on Search Engine Land. You should read it. With the core updates itself, so Google said a bunch of funny things about this. One is it keeps repeating the line that there's nothing you can do, ignore them, you can't do anything. It's a matter of either relevant or not relevant, just continue writing good content, which is bizarre, in my opinion, because there's a lot of things that we've learned from the core updates. But at the same time, Google's saying that for a reason. Google's also said, Gary Ilias of Google also said, that don't look at links when it comes to the core updates. Now, I'm saying you shouldn't look at links at all, but you have to understand that links, philosophically speaking, are an indirect ranking signal. Because if you like a car, and you like the same car, and you like the same car, and you like the same car, Google's going to say, wow, that must be a great car. That's different than understanding how an engine works and how the car in this engine is better than the engine in that car. It's not intrinsic. Links are an indirect ranking signal. With Google's ability to better understand content intrinsically, it's going to try to move away from links. I'm not saying links aren't important. I know what I'm saying is controversial, and all the link builders in here are looking at me like I'm out of my mind, but I think it's the truth. Links are an indirect ranking signal. If Google can better understand content intrinsically, it's going to move away from using links when it doesn't have to. Now, a good link profile is an easy way for Google to understand a site. In other words, Google, despite what you all think, has limited resources. And if it understands a site by its backlink profile and say, wow, you got 1 million backlinks from CNN and ABC News and SEO Israel, then you're an authoritative site. Or actually, in this case, you should be penalized. But I wouldn't start, I know people jump right away. It's my backlinks. That's why I got penalized, or I wouldn't call it, it's not a penalty. That's why I lost rankings. If you lost rankings, I would look at the sites that rank at the top of the SERP, look at your site, and analyze holistically what's different about your content. Does your content sound different? Are you using more cliches? Are you using more marketing language? Are there way more CTAs? If you're an informational site, are you filled with all sorts of links on the page that seem like you're coming across like you're trying to push something hard? Whatever it is, there's a million ways you can profile a site, but Google's profiling your site. Google's saying, okay, what is your site doing? What's its core identity? In fact, the quality rater guidelines are a good reflection of the changes Google's making. Google's getting far more specific in what it tells its manual content raters what to consider high purpose, high quality content. Google's taking a far more intrinsic, holistic look at your content. Instead of looking at links, I recommend you audit your content's tone, sound, and profile. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay, thank you. And near this topic, I would like to ask you three, do you find any place for Black Hat SEO today? Do you see it? Can you observe any successful Black Hat techniques? Something that's worthwhile and would last more than 8 to 10 weeks?
No. Actually, I think Black Hat has a purpose. I'm not dissing Black Hat at all. I think Black Hat SEO actually requires people to really understand Google's algorithms, because if you want to find loopholes, you really need to know your stuff. It's not relevant if you're into brand building, if you want something that, will outlive a couple of months. It's good for skirmishes, guerrilla SEO, if you need something done relatively in SEO terms here and now, and you don't care about the longevity of it. I wouldn't rule it out on specific, goals you want to achieve, but I wouldn't, do it anywhere near a brand or something I want lasting.
I guess black hat is defined by the beholder. How do you define black hat?
Anything that Google won't like.
Link farms.
Besides link building, which I think it's a really great gray area that even Google won't have anything to say about it.
I've seen a number of sites, big publications, and people are getting links in there. I don't know how much value they're getting because Google is aware of these practices. So when it comes to link building, it's buyer beware. That's the message at the end of the day. Unless you're going down a link earning route. If you earn the links, that's great. If you buy them, buyer beware.
I have a cousin. He's the head of SEO at SurveyMonkey, and he lives in Palo Alto, California, right near the Google's Mountain View complex. So they have the self-driving cars. You know that Google's making a self-driving car, and he sees them driving around all the time. And he said that the car can tell the difference between when a squirrel jumps out in front of the car versus when a human jumps out in front of the car. And his point is that if Google can understand the difference between a squirrel and a human in terms of a self-driving car, it can tell the difference between a paid link versus an organic link, a natural link. That's not to say there's not a place. In other words, many times, let's take online gambling. There's a shoddy example, but many of the sites there are using black hat SEO tactics. Let's just assume for a minute all the sites in that niche are using black hat SEO tactics. What would Google do? Not show any content? So Google's aware of it. Look, the penguin algorithm is now part of the core algorithm. It's happening in real time. They're constantly updating, they're constantly analyzing and understanding the links to your site, should they be ignored or not ignored in real time. So they understand the links. I mean, Google just said it on Friday again, like, don't worry about your, people doing negative SEO to you because we're pretty much aware of all the links coming to your site and whether or not we should discredit or not discredit them. And that's Penguin 4.0. So the idea that you're fooling Google is just stupid. Google knows exactly what's happening, and if it's allowing it, it's allowing it. But it's like playing Russian roulette.
They also gave the announcement that you could tag the links to indicate sponsored, what have you. So again, there's sort of a lot of discussion whether that's good or bad for you. Again, you have to sort of consult your local SEO as to best practices there.
So no, we don't like black hat SEO.
Okay. We got 5 minutes or so. Do we have any questions from the audience? Another question from you? But let us hear you.
Sorry, we don't have $100 for you.
I will still keep trying, though. If I post the copy of the exact same copy once on my blog, on my website, and then as a LinkedIn article, am I being penalized by Google for thinking that I'm copying someone else's copy?
Just like basically everything in SEO, it depends. I wouldn't say you can get penalized for duplicate content. Basically what Google does, as long as it's not something you do all the time and every bit of content is duplicated on your website, it just chooses a canonical. It means it chooses a source that it sees as the most authoritative or the original one and omits the other one. Yeah? It doesn't mean you should duplicate every single piece of content you have on your website. That could actually harm you, especially if it's not your content, but others' content. But that's not how Google works. A lot of people think that if I have duplicate content, even on my own website, I'm going to get penalized. It's just a matter of choosing a representative URL, sometimes it's not your domain, to display. So you can do it, but limit yourself to not, don't go overboard, because you don't want your website to just be a copy or a collection of other pieces of content that you've, spread elsewhere.
I would recommend putting the original post in your asset, in your site or your blog, and creating a snippet or something that is shorter for social media like LinkedIn with a link to the original post. This way you don't lose the distribution aspects of LinkedIn. You could also create a paid campaign on LinkedIn for this certain post. And the main asset that you're promoting is yours.
That's a great answer. Rather than have the two elements competing against each other give you two URLs there that can be doing the work for you.
I don't really have anything to add to what they said technically speaking, but from a brand perspective, if a user goes to your website and then goes to your LinkedIn profile and they see the same content, you come off as lazy. So I wouldn't do it.
Okay. If we don't have any other questions, yeah, well. You will be the last one. Dum, dum, dum.
Thank you. What are the best methods and effective ones in Black Hat SEO to promote today without damaging or risk your content site?
We've answered
None.
Yes? So can you repeat it again?
Look, black SEO is a risk. You know, there's huge gains and a huge risk. If it wasn't a risk, it's not black SEO. Not black hat SEO. We don't have enough time to go into it, but black hat SEO is mostly links, but there are a lot of other things. From metric spoofing to proxies and using them with certain devices and user agents. Just mimicking how users would act, but it's all risky.
I'll equate it like this. It's one thing to smoke weed when the cops are not looking, right? It's another thing to smoke weed when the cops are out there patrolling, looking for people smoking weed. Google is out there, right, trying to use its machine learning to do away with that sort of practice, right? It's very active in this area right now. So it's probably a bad idea to start now. Like, it's not like it's even a year or two ago. Like, Google's getting very, very, very serious about trying to improve page quality, site quality. It's all they're talking about. So,
And I would add, it's like taking every dollar you own and putting it on one number on the roulette wheel. You know, it may come off, but while that wheel is spinning, you're like heart's in your mouth, you can't breathe, and the chances of success are quite remote. So it really is like a gamble.
I would actually say that it's more like Russian roulette, because at a certain point you are going to shoot yourself in the head.
You might want that. So
Yeah.
that's your thing.
For anything that's longer than 6 months, I guess that this panel would agree that Black Hat SEO wouldn't be a good decision.
Full disclosure, you'll find another panel somewhere else say, do this.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah.
Buy links. Buy tons of links. This industry is too competitive. You can't do it otherwise.
Just ask Neil Patel and then check out his rankings.
I have a question for Morley. Can Google actually, if I had a human-sized squirrel, would Google still recognize it?
Yeah, what?
Human-sized squirrel before, a human-sized squirrel.
The squirrel?
Yeah, a human-sized squirrel.
Yeah, would the car just...
You mean a deer?
A very little person.
No.
No,
Yeah.
no, I don't think it would be.
Is it shape-based?
Do you believe in Sasquatch?
Sometimes.
Then that's your problem.
All right.
Well, thank you. I guess